The disgraced star, Josh Duggar, is currently serving a sentence of 151 months in jail on child pornography charges. His brother Joseph and his in-law, David Waller, have paid him a visit while he is incarcerated. FCI Seagoville, which is located close to Dallas, Texas, is where Josh, who is 35 years old, is currently doing his term. The United States Sun is able to report in an exclusive manner that Josh's brother Joseph, who is 29 years old, and his brother-in-law David Waller paid him a visit on March 4th. In an exclusive interview with the United States Sun, the insider stated, "Joseph and David were there to visit Josh. All day long, they remained there. They appeared to be at ease and content. They simply ate a few snacks together and talked for the entirety of the day." It was revealed by the insider that Josh's wife Anna, who is 35 years old, was not there during the visit. Anna's brother-in-law David, who is married to her sister Priscilla, is frequently seen assisting her with the 7 young children that she shares with Josh during visits, according to the source. Lonely way of life. In the month of November, the United States Sun published an exclusive story that Josh did not have any visits from his family or friends when he was incarcerated in Texas from Friday, November 10 to Monday, November 13. At the time, an insider provided the United States Sun with an exclusive statement that stated, "Inmates have recreational time in the early morning and afternoon." It was not observed that Josh was engaged in any outdoor activities, such as playing sports, walking the track, or engaging in any other recreational pursuits. That no one in Josh's family came to visit him during that time period was another statement made by the source. Are you in difficulty? The visit from Josh's family comes after a convict assigned to Josh's unit was discovered to be in possession of contraband, which means that the other inmates may be subject to severe punishment. According to a source who had previously provided information to the United States Sun, they got a new warden at Seagoville, and she's been posting notices about contraband saying that if contraband is found in one cell in one unit, the entire unit will be shut down and lose privileges. In the course of this week's shaking down of Josh's building, they discovered a large quantity of illegal goods. I am aware that they discovered a significant amount of alcoholic beverages. With regard to the punishments, the insider stated, there has been no news on whether the mass punishments have taken place. However, it would most certainly involve the removal of privileges related to phone and email use. The information was validated via a Facebook page for loved ones of convicts that is hosted by the Federal Correctional Institution in Seagoville. The members of the group voiced their displeasure over the shakedown, with one of them claiming that 6 inmates were arrested during the raid, which would have forced all of their loved ones to potentially endure the penalties. Those members of the group who were able to communicate with an inmate at this time have not been informed of any punishments that have been handed down. The United States Sun was unable to confirm which detainees were discovered to be in possession of illegal substances. Josh's strategies in the prison. It was originally stated by the United States Sun that Josh got himself into problems in February of 2023 when he brought a cell phone into the prison without permission. The disgraced reality star was placed in the Special Housing Unit, SHU, of the Federal Correctional Institution in Seagoville, also known as solitary confinement. The acronym SHU stands for Special Housing Unit. In an exclusive interview with the United States Sun at the time, a member of the family of an inmate at the prison stated, "I would be very surprised if he has been released, as the majority of the people in there have been in there for months. His disciplinary hearing is scheduled for later, so he must wait till then." Inmates who are housed in the SHU are only permitted to make 1 telephone call per month, as stated by the Bureau of Federal Prisons. In terms of visiting, either it is restricted or disallowed, depending on the basis for the detention of the individual. His release occurred in the month of March in the same year. Josh's applications in the law. During the month of April in the year 2021, Josh was taken into custody and charged with possessing and receiving child pornography. Following the submission of a guilty verdict by the jury, Josh was given a sentence of 151 months in federal prison in the month of May. In June of 2022, he was moved to the Federal Correctional Institution in Seagoville. Appeal. thief fight. Through the filing of an appeal, Josh has been working toward his goal of being released from prison. Nevertheless, his request was officially rejected in November of 2023. In an effort to have the conviction overturned and to have a new trial scheduled for October 2022, Josh's attorney, Justin Gelfand, has filed an appeal. It was contended by him that Josh's phone was taken by federal officials during a raid at his auto lot a year and a half prior to his arrest. The raid occurred when Josh attempted to contact his attorney, despite the fact that he was speaking to the investigators without the presence of his attorney. At the appeal hearing that took place on February 16 in Kansas City, Missouri, Justin and Joshua Handel, who was representing the prosecution, engaged in a heated debate. The statement that Justin made in court was as follows. Duggar takes out his phone, physically puts it to his ear, for the purpose of contacting his legal counsel. In order to prevent him from being able to speak with his legal counsel, federal authorities forcefully removed the phone from his hand and took it away from him. He was informed that he was free to leave. That is something that no logical person who was in his position at the time would believe. When the judge inquired as to whether or not Josh might have gone to another establishment in order to make a phone call, Justin supplied the following response. This lot was accessible only by a highway with no sidewalk, and it was in the middle of nowhere. Not a single option was available. Due to the fact that the vehicle he entered was searched, he was unable to access it. There was a car in the parking lot, and the keys to the other vehicles were in the office. There would be a requirement for him to have an escort in order to enter. Joshua Handel, who is representing the prosecution, responded by saying, during the search of the used vehicle yard, Mr. Duggar was never taken into custody at any point in time. Several times, Mr. Duggar was informed that he was not being held in jail and that he was free to leave. He stated that his wife was expecting a child and that she was pregnant. If he wants to get in touch with her, he might have to leave. That is not a problem, according to the spokesperson. Mr. Duggar did leave the scene at a time of his choosing and without being arrested. Mr. Duggar voluntarily ended the interview, the statement read. It was not until a year and a half later that he was taken into custody. This is Caleb Williams' fault. Additionally, during the hearing, Justin brought up Caleb Williams, an employee of Josh's, whom he asserts may have been responsible for the conduct in question. According to the allegations, Caleb Williams was employed at Wholesale Motor Cars, which is the location of the alleged event. Through the usage of the one and only computer, which was an HP computer, he frequently engaged in activities that had nothing to do with Wholesale Motor Cars or Josh Duggar, as Justin explained. On May 7, almost 1 week prior to the alleged crime, he sent a text message to Mr. Duggar in which he offered to go watch the lot the next week. One of the photographs that he shot was of Mr. Duggar at the office where the alleged incident took place, demonstrating that Mr. Duggar utilized a MacBook rather than the HP computer. When the judge inquired about the possibility of calling Caleb as a witness during the trial, Justin responded by saying, District Court said, if he says he wasn't there and didn't remote in, if he denies committing the crime, that's as far as you're going to get. This was in response to the judge's inquiry about whether or not Caleb was present at the police station at the time of the crimes. Justin responded by saying, he places himself regularly at the car lot using the only computer that was seized with child pornography on it. This was in reference to the evidence that he had put forward against Caleb. Those capabilities were taken away from Mr. Duggar by the court. On May 13, 2019, the partition section of Mr. Duggar's computer, which was the part of the computer that included all of the data containing allegations of child sexual abuse, had to have been installed by someone at Mr. Duggar's computer. On that date, there is no evidence that Mr. Williams was present on the car lot or even in the state of Arkansas. Joshua Handel responded, there is no evidence against Mr. Williams. On that particular date, there was a substantial amount of evidence that Mr. Williams was not present in Arkansas. The government has receipts, video, and live evidence from several witnesses showing he was outside of Arkansas between the 11th and 16th of May. He was outside of Arkansas during that time period. Another piece of evidence that Joshua Handel presented against Josh was as follows. Text messages place Mr. Duggar at the scene of the crime. On the 15th of May, at 11:15 in the morning, Mr. Duggar sent a text message that said, "I am currently at my car lot." On the partition portion of Mr. Duggar's computer, 20 minutes later, at 11:35 in the morning, material relating to the sexual abuse of children was downloaded. After being suspected of sexually abusing a kid on or between May 2015 and May 2018, Caleb was arrested for criminal sex abuse. This arrest was unrelated to Josh's case and occurred after those allegations were made. Following the conclusion of negotiations for a plea agreement, he entered a guilty plea to the charge of severe criminal sexual assault. On January 22, 2020, he was sentenced to 62 days in jail and 18 months of probation. The Josh disappeared. His plea for a new trial was denied by the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals in the United States. However, Josh's legal team did not lose up, and his attorney submitted a request for an extension of time within which he may file his petition for rehearing in this case, which was approved at the time. In the petition that Justin submitted for a rehearing, he asserted that the district court prevented Duggar from introducing alternative perpetrator evidence, explaining at sidebar when Duggar sought to call a witness to the stand. He said of Caleb, Duggar adduced evidence that law enforcement failed to meaningfully investigate Williams as a potential perpetrator, that law enforcement never analyzed Williams' devices, presented evidence through expert witnesses that the HP computer could have been accessed by someone not physically present, offered evidence through both expert witnesses that the files found on the computer had been streamed as opposed to viewed locally. He introduced evidence that Williams regularly used the HP computer. The filing also argued, when determining whether Duggar was in custody when he invoked his right to counsel by attempting to call his lawyer while surrounded by federal agents who physically removed the phone from his hand, the panel decision incorrectly focuses solely on what transpired several minutes later and disregards what happened at the time Duggar invoked his right to counsel. Due to the fact that a reasonable person in Duggar's position at the time he attempted to contact his counsel would consider his freedom of movement restricted, it is important for the full court to take into consideration the situation in order to ensure and maintain uniformity in the decisions made by the court. Last but not least, the appeal was turned down. A mandate, which is an official order, was issued in his case on October 5, 2023, according to a previous article that was published in the United States Sun. On October 2, 2032, Josh is scheduled to be released.